Remember, he pushed it. He tried to push it, and it was solid as could be. And it's almost like they may have made the landing gear to make it look like it was sitting on a landing gear. There was no landing gear. Peniston said there was no landing gear.
Yeah, I've scratched my head over those statements so many times. We just had Peniston on the show last week or the week before, and everybody seemed to have, even though there's crossover information that is similar, but everybody at Rendlesham almost had their own experience.
Yeah, and then that's what you start looking at. Why did they come 3 nights in a row? I mean, this is not a random event. This is a planned event. That's where they had the forward-based nuclear weapons. And that was when Poland had gone. Poland had the Russians had put the tanks on the border that same month. They were going to reinvent Poland because of what's that group that took over Poland, the labor people, and they were going to separate, and Russia was going to take it back. That's when that thing happened. So they come 3 nights in a row. Same as the Nimitz thing, they were coming repeatedly. And it's not a random event. It's something that's planned to get it. And you see the thing where they're all having different experiences. The same thing happened in the Zendra when Paula Harris and these other 7 people, I interviewed all these people that were in the Zendra. And I said, so what did you see? Oh, I saw this 10-foot guy. He had long hair, and you could see his face, and he was standing there, and he had the boots on, and he looked like a swimmer. He was all muscular. He had this real tight thing on. And then you ask him, okay, what did you hear? Well, then Paula Harris hears this guy talking in some foreign language. This person's getting a message. All of them had a different experience, completely different. It was like he was talking to 7 people all at the same time with different things. And you see that thing where it's the old thing. The time and space starts to fall apart. The fact that you can have separate events and you hear this in the spirit world with near-death experience people, where they'll say that somebody's talking to 100 people at the same time, that you can communicate this thing. And you see that in UFO experiences, that even like my friend, when he had this experience with his wife coming down the water along his house, where they had 2 different experiences, saw 2 different things. And so that's the whole thing is, it's part that you're manifesting. People think there's objects out there that are doing things to us, that we're just random biological robots in a meaningless universe. People got to realize we are part of the experience, and there may not be any out there. In fact, some of the messages that you get, it's all within us. There's no out there. It's all within us. Where is the world? Even, this whole concept that it may just be the one electron. It may just be one thing. And it's such an illusion as to what's going on. And that's why it's important to talk to people who've got out of the illusion, or who have talked to these beings that say they're from the 7th dimension or the 11th dimension or whatever they're saying now. The story is developed from going to the moon to now other dimensions and stuff. And it sort of fits in with our understanding, our scientific understanding. They seem to be just one step ahead of where we are.
Let's take a break, but I'm going to ask you to go into overtime. You're not going anywhere, Grant, so you just stay right there. Our guest tonight, Grant Cameron. This is Fade to Black, another amazing conversation on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Follow Grant on Twitter at Grant Cameron. And, of course, all of his links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back after this short break. Overtime with Grant Cameron. All of that is next. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I'm a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Grant Cameron, going into overtime. You expected that. There was no way this conversation was stopping. And Grant, before we move forward, I do want to thank you for your time tonight and to hang out with everybody going into some overtime. There's so much to discuss, and I haven't gone directly with you on opinions. I just want to have some fun right now. There's overtime here is relax mode. Let's go into relax mode.
Sure.
Which I want to discuss. I want to get your opinions on the 3 videos and what you see. And I think it's important. Everybody, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a Bigfoot video. It could be sleight of hand, rabbit out of a hat with the magician. Everybody's going to see what they are going to see. And everybody's got their opinions about these 3 videos. Let's start with FLIR. Let's start with the FLIR video. When you first saw it, what went through your mind?
You're talking the Tic Tac one then?
Yes.
Okay. So when I saw it, I was dealing with Dan Smith. And when the thing came out, I said, Dan, what's Pandolfi got to say about this? What's Ron got to say? And he comes back and he says, it was done on a simulator. It's these guys are Scientologists and they're trying to scam everybody and they're loons, crooks, and worse and all these kind of stories. So that was what I was trying to do. I'm trying to get the highest level official. When I saw it, I still have this theory of wow. So they allowed themselves to be filmed. Whatever this phenomena was, all the 3 are different objects. And so they sat there for a week. Again, they were there for a week before anybody chased them. And when they chase them, then they get the film, and then the jets fly off, and then they come back again, and then they say, hey, Zogar, go under the water, make some bubbles. They're coming back. And then, of course, they go by and there's bubbles coming up. And it's just like to me, it's like a big game show. It's like they're making these sort of interesting displays. I heard they had 200 videos. At one time, I heard they had 200 videos that they were going to release and that these things were going to come out. Now, why they didn't do the ones. And the other thing that was interesting about the videos, the FLIR and all the others, was that there was this leak. You know about the Mellon leak, right? The Chris Mellon's website, this whole thing, Twitter Jake. And so I had the guy who actually, I think, put the Wilson document and the alien autopsy document on the internet was a guy, and I won't describe who the guy was. He doesn't deal with me anymore, but I showed him this. There's the packaging. There was the videos on Mellon's website. They showed the videos. They showed the packaging slip. And it had Lou Elizondo and it had Mellon. Now we know that Mellon was the guy that got it in the parking lot and brought it across, whatever. And there was this D. Essex. Now I know her name. It was a woman from the public affairs. And my friend had a guy in the Pentagon. And I said, can you find out who this D. Essex is? And the next morning he phones me up. He says, we got a direct hit. My guy in the Pentagon says it's this woman. And her name it's D. Essex. I can't remember her first name was. But anyway, so you can see this. He said, and she would be in the office that would be involved if they were going to make some sort of public disclosure. So it's coming out of public affairs, which is exactly the same office that Colonel Coleman was in, who released the Holloman Air Force Base film to Emmenegger. And Emmenegger said they went into the Pentagon. They did not sign in at the Pentagon. They walked in there, and the public affairs guy said, this is terrible. You're ruining it for everybody. Man, you guys start talking about UFOs, and the phone comes off the hook. And then Sandler says, you guys invited us here. What are you talking about? And I was told they actually signed a contract with the Pentagon. He said it was a straight film contract. And so you see this, again, it's this release, and the beings are allowing themselves to be filmed. They are showing up as different things, and they're just doing, to me, it's like a game show where they say, do this, flip this, so that they know it's beyond an ordinary craft. Do something really weird so they can look at it. And I believe the videos are real. They may be bigger, but what you see with the FLIR was they dropped it already. They dropped it in 2007. To the German production company. They were trying to get it out then. They wanted it, and it didn't work out. Whatever the scam was that they were going to do, they were going to drop it in 2007. It didn't work. So now they drop it again in 2017 with the New York Times. So it's the same game. They've got the same films, and they run the same operations. They've been running it since the 1950s when Disney did was offered all the films, and according to the animator whose name escapes me, he was one of the 9 animators for Disney. He tells the story at the MUFON conference that Disney was told to do a documentary, and he was given all these films, and they pulled all the films on him as well. And then later, Mike Maloney, a film guy from Great Britain, says the fact that same animator from Disney showed him the alien autopsy video in the 1970s, and that it had a live alien, not just the alien autopsy. It had the live alien in there, and he said it was the same film as they were showing. I saw it, and if it was faked. It was really good. So you see this thing with the films, but the films always sort of get pulled back. This time they left the film out. But again, they said there was going to be 200 videos, and some were up very close, and they just put it out and leave it, deny it, same as they did with the names. The New York Times was told it was advanced aerospace. The Washington Post the same morning went with the story. It was advanced aviation. They put out 2 different names, caused the confusion, and then said that the videos aren't real. We didn't release them. Then we did release them, and it's this game where nobody knows. It's like shifting sand all the time, and it works to their advantage. They're doing this, I guarantee you, they're doing this gradual acclimatization, and it's not the government doing it, because there are people in the government who believe in demons and that this is all demons, and they're going to stop it. It's people in the government who are very sympathetic. So what happens, and this is just my personal opinion, what happens is Tom DeLonge goes to Lockheed. Lockheed sets him up with all these people, go to the Pentagon, and he meets these 2 intelligence guys. He goes to NASA. He picks up a guy there. NASA sends him to Ames. They send him to the general. Then the general starts giving him all these people. And you have this situation where he puts out the first book in 2016 in April. Semivan finds out about it. and they have the meeting in San Diego in the hotel room. You know this story with the 6 agents, and they say, "Where did you get all this stuff from?" Then Semivan tells Green. Green goes to Puthoff. Puthoff goes in there, and Puthoff joins the team, and that's how they assemble all this stuff, because that's where the money is, that's where the information is flowing. But it's not government; it's people in the government. And then if you hear what Tom DeLonge says, the whole thing about Lou Elizondo, he says, "Quote, I hired him away." In one of the interviews, I still can't find whose interview, he says, "I knew about the guy, and they said, you will never release this guy's name." And they used an acronym for Elizondo, but they were talking about Elizondo. And he said, "I hired him away." So Elizondo is sympathetic. He's in there. He's about to retire. And Puthoff is working for Elizondo. So Puthoff goes in and says, "Oh, would you like to join Tom DeLonge? He's going to pay you this much money," whatever. And so he retires. He was probably going to retire anyway. He retires. He goes out. And that's how they get all these people together. But it's not government. It's people in the government who want the story. The same as Bill Moore. When he was contacted 7 days after the Roswell book, which sold like 1 million copies in 1980, when Roswell became famous, nobody knew what Roswell was before he put out that book. They came to him and said, "You're the only guy who knows what you're talking about. We're from the government. We'd like to help get this story out." And these are the same thing. It's like Puthoff, and it's John Alexander. It's all these people, and they were feeding material as well. But it's people sympathetic inside the government. So you have the people that don't want it out, the people that want it out, and these people figure a way to get this material out. So they're sort of like the good guys in the government who are frustrated. And that's what I would say about Green and Puthoff. They have probably the longest held top secret SCI clearances in the United States of America. They've had them since 1970, since remote viewing. So they've had these things. And these guys are old guys. They're in like 80 or more, whatever. They don't need the money. They're just trying to figure it out. They've been working on it their whole life, just like you and I. They're down the rabbit hole and they can't get out.
So it's not to put words in your mouth, but you feel that the FLIR, the Tic Tac video, is not of this earth.
Oh, absolutely. No.
Okay. All right. Let's go to gimbal. When you look at the gimbal footage, what do you see?
Well, I just see another release. I see the release of, and this is, I think, happened off the East Coast of the United States. And there's this story behind it. So it's another video that they have approved that we're going to release this one. It's not close up. It's like the Bob Emenegger thing. It has plausible deniability, like the Bob Emenegger one says, this light coming over the mountainside, coming in daylight, but it's coming over the mountainside. So it's not up close. That's what Buff said. When it gets up close, when the aliens actually land and the door opens up and the aliens get out, now that you're not going to see. Same thing here. So there may have been parts of the video that they didn't. So it's still plausible deniability. And you see, it's been years, and except for the Navy coming out and saying these are real videos, everybody still goes like, there's still this denial. No, it's not, and it's this question mark thing where you can't really say it's definitely alien, because it's sort of like has this plausible deniability thing. So that's what they're going to use. They're not going to use a close-up one. They're going to use one that can be questioned and the skeptics can still walk away from.
And so you think that the gimbal footage is also authentic? It's an ET craft, not of this earth.
Yeah, they're all the films are going to be authentic. They're films from the 200 or more. They would have thousands of films, thousands and thousands of films. Even if you go back to the first sighting, Kenneth Arnold was given 2 8x11 photographs, like gun camera footage of flying saucers from the 4th Air Force. Now, why are they giving him gun camera footage if it's a big cover-up? It's the same thing. It's this leak. It's like they want the story out, but they don't want the story out, and this is plausible deniability. So these 3 films that they do are films that are safe, where it doesn't really blow the whole story up. Mm-hmm. It's just enough to put it out. Because that's what I heard. I think Elizondo said that we've got stuff up close, but that kind of stuff you may not see for a while. They're just doing this gradual thing. Let's see how the people can handle it. Put it through Hollywood, make it plausible, put it through fictionalize the story so people don't know what the real story is, like the ET and Close Encounters, and put it out and just slowly move people along. Because I guess they have the same fears that and I say the scientists are the guys that are going to be the worst hit. People say it's the religion guys. I say no, it's the scientists. When they suddenly realize it's not a nuts and bolts universe. It's very, very weird universe. and you're completely, everything you learned in science Sunday school is wrong. You
Right.
wasted your whole life at this thing. It's time to take the cyanide pill because everything you believed was wrong. And that's the guys that I think they're the guys that are fighting back.
Right.
So you have to protect those guys in if you're the government, to give everybody an out. So they do these films where they sort of put them out, they pull them back, and it's the same story. They've done it right from the time of Kenneth Arnold, and they've done it over and over again.
And Go Fast.
Go Fast that's a very bad video. It's almost like an orb video. It's like zipping along the ocean side. But again, I think it's a legitimate film, but it really doesn't show too much. And that's what they really want. They just want something that's kind of interesting, coming from the Pentagon. And if they wanted, to confirm it at the beginning, they would have confirmed it. But they played that game. They played the game. No, we didn't release this immediately. Because the guy that interviewed Hillary Clinton, when this thing happened, I went to him immediately because I knew him because I'd done the Hillary Clinton book on Clintons and the UFOs. And I went to him immediately and I said, get in line. You're a reporter. Get in line. File an FOIA immediately on these films and stuff like that. And he got in line. He still hasn't got his FOIA back. But they knew everybody was going to come after it. They've delayed all this stuff, all the FOIAs. They haven't responded to all this stuff. And they're playing this sort of game of gradual disclosure. That's what I say. It's this drip, drip, drip disclosure thing that they have been working on, and they're really good at it now. They've learned how to do it. They've learned how to. They've actually moved the whole thing, and it may be that the disclosure has taken place. The disclosure is, yes, UFOs are real. We've got these films. And what did they do to Trump? The Navy goes in and briefs Trump, and they say, look, we've got these films. We don't know what these things are, but they're not Russian. They're not Chinese. And Trump, who I've known always had no interest in UFOs. When Hillary was talking about UFOs, they asked the reporter from the New York Times asked him. He said, "Oh, I assume you're talking about outer space. I'm not interested. I don't care what Hillary's talking about." And so he doesn't have. And so he sees the videos, and it's plausible deniability. So he looks at the videos. He says, "Those are really interesting videos. I don't believe it." And he doesn't believe it. He doesn't really believe it. And it gives you that plausible, that out. So it's evidence, but it's not the real evidence. If they want the real evidence, they're going to pull out the flying saucer. They're going to have the cameras. They're going to have the alien bodies and stuff. That's not what they're doing. They're doing this gradual thing. Show them a video. Show them this video. Almost like Bigelow says, get confirmation. Just confirm. Yes, we have videos. Yes, they're real. Yes, this is UFOs. We're not saying it's alien. It's unidentified. And then you make the next steps down the road as you gradually move this thing. You can't throw it all out at the same time.
Yeah, what I find interesting about the videos is if we didn't have David Fravor, if we didn't have all of the eyewitness testimony to go along with this, or the powers of suggestion that these are UFOs, if anybody just sees these for what they are without the backstory, I don't think anybody sees alien or ET in them. It's the compelling eyewitness testimony that goes along with it that supports the videos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And in fact, it is just an ordinary, because there's a lot of videos out there that are better than that, but it always has the same problem, is it's like a video, and that's why Nimitz has been such a big story, because the Americans have such a high impression of military people. And that's what Jacques Vallée said. It's a UFO sighting 15 years ago. Let's get over it. And it is. It's just a UFO sighting, and it's just a film. It's not the end of the world film. It's just kind of interesting. Right. You've got these guys, but because everybody has such a high impression of the military,
right,
everything's great. Same as the military, when you had the 1976, and those documents were leaked too, the NORAD documents. I remember Bob Pratt from the National Choir, when I was at that time, the documents were there inside when Travis Walton is abducted in November. Just before and just after, they have all the incursions into the nuclear weapon storage areas at Loring, Wurtsmith, Minot, Malmstrom, all along the Canadian border. They have all these things. And what do the UFOs do? They go in there. Do they turn the lights off? No, they turn the lights on, and they're right there, and people are looking, and it's like they're sending a message. And the government leaked that stuff out too. The guy that the Iranian jet fighter story, that major one, that was leaked. And the guy who leaked it, the guy who did the report on the Iranian jet fighter story, was the guy who contacted Bill Moore. He was the second guy. He was at Offutt Air Force Base, and he was DIA. And people don't realize there's all these stories behind stories. When you say, well, where did these documents come from? And it was, the government gave them. And it's like, no, when you start looking, it's this gradual leak. It's like, move the story. And that's what the intelligence agencies are supposed to do, is to manage the story. Just move it so it doesn't blow up in your face. walk along somebody like you're begging for money and just be nice with them and move them in the direction you want to go. And that's what they're doing. So this is a gradual disclosure. I think you're going to see more videos. You're going to see more stuff dropped, because that's what I heard. I told you I had this producer when they were trying to get me to do this thing on the Avery. I've been contacted twice to do an inside thing where I'm going to be in. They said you'd be executive producer. I said I'm a researcher. What the hell I care about an executive producer? I could care less. It means nothing to me. I'm into figuring out what this thing is. Because when I saw the UFO, at the second night, I was looking at it and going, what's it doing? It's like it's just flying along, and I'm going, and I knew it was for real. And then all I was interested in, when nobody would publish the manuscript, when I told the story of what happened in that small town, the publisher said, I don't care. And I went, what? And then all I wanted to know was what's going on. So that's my interest. So when they came to me, but the guy told me that Pandolfi was in there and Semivan was in there, and they're promoting all sorts of projects. They're trying to get these projects to get this story out indirectly. Plus, you make a lot of money. That's why I think part of the reason for using DeLong isn't not a really smart UFO guy. He doesn't know the intricate parts, or he's not a researcher. He's a PR guy. That's why like when he talked about Bob Lazar, he said, I have the lifetime rights to Bob Lazar's story. To him, it's, and that was I knew the guy that was going to do the app for To the Stars. They're going to do the app, where you have the cell phone and you see a UFO and you put it in there. And people said, well, he's going to track the government. They're going to put it in the government. The government's going to track it. Maybe true. But I said, to me, and when I heard that, I go, oh, that's what Tom DeLonge's doing. So if Travis Walton, you have a Travis Walton abduction, and that guy phones in the story to Travis Walton on his cell phone, Tom DeLonge now owns the story. He's going to control all the big stories that are coming in as they come in. And he's just, that's what he said. He even said his biblical name, his real name, is the truth teller. Like, he sees himself like he's the guy who's going to put the stories out. He's going to make money. He's telling books. He's telling fictional stuff. He's the storyteller. And these guys are using him. They're going through Hollywood. And that's what they said to Chris Bledsoe, because I knew what was going on with Tom DeLonge. I knew about Jim Semivan and all these guys 8 months before they went public, because I knew Chris Bledsoe. I was good friends with Chris Bledsoe for many years, and he was sort of telling me a little bit what was going on. And so they had all this stuff, and they put it out. I knew they were going to put it out. They did exactly what they were going to do, and I was not really surprised by anything they did. And so that's basically the thing. It's a gradual disclosure thing. Everybody's making money. Everybody's doing their sort of thing. And that's what when Semivan had his experience, when he went to Pandolfi, and Pandolfi wouldn't tell him what was going on. When he got out, he went to Chris Bledsoe. I don't know if you know the story. He went to Chris Bledsoe, and he said, I knew about you. I was not allowed to talk to you until I retired. Then he went to Chris Bledsoe's birthday party, became friends with Chris Bledsoe, and he went to Tom DeLonge, and he said, this is my friend Chris Bledsoe. I want you to take his story to Hollywood, and I want you to make it happen. And that's where Chris started to move into Hollywood, and then he broke off from Tom DeLonge. But that's the whole deal, is they've got these stories, they move them through. Tom DeLonge makes money, these people make money, everybody's got their thing going, and they're getting the story out. They're still, like CIA, nobody ever leaves the CIA. Even Jim Semivan is still under contract, as far as I know, with the CIA. They're doing this gradual, same as Bill Moore. When Bill Moore did it, they brought this guy who was the head of covert ops for Russia. They brought him out of retirement to run the program, so they know how it works. Bill Moore worked for the CIA. Bill Moore had done work for the CIA when he was at university. Jimmy Shandera, who got the MJ-12 document, had worked for the CIA during the Vietnam War. It's all these connections. It's indirectly guys you trust. You move in the stories, and everybody thinks it's a UFO story, whatever. They don't realize there's all of these moving parts in behind, and this stuff isn't coming out accidentally, and that it's like a big show, and these guys know exactly what they've been doing. They've been dropping this for years, and I think they're doing a really good job. I think they know what they're doing, and they have moved it. You've gotten to the situation where the U.S. government has admitted UFOs are real, and we're studying them. I mean, that you have to give them credit for. Whatever you say about them, they moved that story, and I believe it was Semivan, and I believe it was Mellon who moved that story through the CIA. That's what part of Semivan's job was this PR thing. He has an English degree. He's the guy that knows how to move in behind the scenes with Voice of America and stuff like that and make these deals. And people got to realize there's all these things going on behind the scenes in this story.
Now, 2020, we've just got 2 minutes left, Grant. Again, thank you for the conversation. Here we are. We expected other things to happen over the last 2.5 years, going into 3 years. 2020 has now has its own set of media coverage that is it's bearing anything out there. It doesn't have to be UFOs. It could be sports or music. All stories are buried these days. Is the UFO subject and disclosure part of this bearing of the news? Are we going to be able to move things forward in 2020, or do we have to wait once again for next year to 2020, 2021?
Well, I think you're going to wait, because my understanding is that they're going to use Hollywood. It's not going to be, Semi Van coming out and make a statement. They're using this fictional version, and Hollywood is shut down. I mean, so they're not really doing anything now. And so, like all the series and stuff like that, I think there's a delay. Same as I remember when Tom DeLonge, because I knew they were going to drop this thing, and then Tom DeLonge, even 2 days before they dropped the New York Times thing, he said he put up a Facebook or an Instagram post, and he said, "Ugh, another delay." And even it sounded like Tom DeLonge didn't believe it was going to drop. So he really doesn't have control over it. But it's this Hollywood thing. And the guy told me, they wanted Pandolfi. They didn't want to do this, the Firmage thing. He said, I told Pandolfi, we want you to go on camera and tell us what's going on. They're not interested in Joe Firmage or anything. But I know they're in behind the scenes and they're trying to move this thing. And you see all these series. I mean, there used to be like one UFO show a year. Now it's like every day there's a UFO. There's piles of stuff. They're moving this story along, and I think they're doing a pretty good job at it.
Now, where can everybody go and get the new book right now?
Amazon, I guess, is where you'd go. And I've got a link on my Facebook, Grant Cameron Facebook site, where you can read the first couple of chapters where I explain contact modalities, what I believe is going on in terms of how these contact modalities work. So there's probably 50 pages of material they can read that explains it.
We'll get all of that up in Twitter and social media for you. Grant, once again, great conversation, my friend, and I can't wait till November. We'll break some bread. We're going to go do some sky watching with pastrami sandwiches. Thank you so much. Grant Cameron. Grant, be safe up there, okay?
Honor. Thank you.
You got it. Grant Cameron just went poll to poll. I got to go straight to credits here. What a great conversation. And I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow night is Fader Night with open lines all night long. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night, open lines. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.